He is probably making about $200,000 a month in ad revenue. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today I'm going to answer the question of how much automotive YouTubers actually make. And the way that I got this information I'll explain in just a moment, but I'm sure it's something that a lot of you ask because you see automotive YouTubers buy super expensive vehicles all the time. I mean, like me buying a 2020 Ford Raptor is nothing at all because you see automotive YouTubers, they'll buy stuff like Lamborghinis and, you know, they'll buy Jeep Gladiators and Hellcat swap and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into how much money they actually make, and you know, that'll explain how they afford all of these cars. So in today's video, I'm only going to be talking about one source of income for automotive YouTubers, and that is ad revenue from YouTube. Now, for a lot of automotive YouTubers, this isn't always their only source of income. A lot of people that do automotive stuff on YouTube, they own a business or they just work a regular job and they do automotive stuff on the side, like what I was doing working at the dealership. There's a lot of stuff with affiliate marketing, merchandise, you got Patreon. There's just so many other avenues that people are earning income on, and that's just only naming a few. But in today's video, we're gonna be talking about purely just ad revenue, and the reason that I want to talk about that is ad revenue is probably the easiest source of income to earn on YouTube if one of you wants to start an automotive channel, essentially. And so maybe like hearing these numbers from these different channels will inspire you to see that obviously it's possible, and that, you know, whatever your definition of making a living is, that you could potentially make a living off of YouTube. Now, that being said, there are a whole number of variables that are taken into account with determining how much ad revenue a channel is going to earn. You know, who is watching the video is super important for advertisers. What country someone's from, their gender, their age, all that kind of stuff is taken into account, and that in turn determines how much an advertiser is going to pay for a view on their ad, essentially. Now, the way to get monetized on YouTube now, obviously you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. YouTube then will monetize you if your content is appropriate, and then you will get paid in conjunction to how many views you get on ads, not on your channel, but on ads. You have to have ads on your channel. Excuse me. But you will get monetized based on how many views you have on those ads and who's viewing those ads, essentially. So what I'm trying to tell you is it can vary massively based on how much you get paid from YouTube. You could have two people making the same type of content, and if they have completely different demographics, then one person could be making significantly more money than the other person. And I guess the last thing I should mention that kind of goes into that little pie of determining how much you get paid is the type of content that you make. Right now on YouTube, finance content makes the highest amount from what I've seen, because I've seen finance channels release how much they make from YouTube, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, a lot of these finance channels are making more than $10,000 for every million views. And so, I mean, you do the math, some of these finance channels are getting 10 million views a month, or like Graham Stephan, for example, he's making over $100,000 a month in ad revenue. So those are definitely the highest. Automotive seems to be the second highest. And then what I see kind of below, what I've seen below that from people that have discussed how much they make off of YouTube, it seems like fitness, that kind of stuff, is just a little bit below that. And it seems like the channels that take the biggest hit in terms of ad revenue are comedy channels. And I'm guessing it's just because there's way too many things going around with comedy channels in terms of, is it appropriate or not? And so I think YouTube a lot of times will demonetize those types of videos. And then the other thing that I think happens is there's just too many variables with who's watching. Are they actually going to buy something when they watch this content? And so yeah, it kind of hurts them. But yeah, that's essentially where the money comes from. Just so you guys kind of understand how YouTubers actually make money. Their channel gets monetized, they have ads on their videos, and then they make money from that. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to go over some popular automotive YouTubers, and this isn't going to be exactly how much they make. I'll kind of explain what I did calculation wise, and so then it'll give you a rough idea of, you know, what they make essentially just off of ad revenue. So before I get into the list, I just want to explain, you know, how I did my calculation essentially. And what I did is I watched a bunch of videos on other automotive YouTubers that have released how much money they make on YouTube, and so then that kind of gave me a rough range of what these people are earning. And then obviously I know how much my channel earns in revenue. And what I've seen so far to make things super easy calculation wise, instead of, you know, trying to make you guys calculate off of the CPM, because that's what a lot of people will tell you. All that stuff is internal with YouTube. Essentially, you have monetized views, and what that means is how many views you have on an advertisement, and then your CPM is your cost per mille, how much the advertiser is willing to pay per 1,000 monetized views, and then that determines how much money you made in a day, essentially. But to make the math as easy as possible, the average automotive YouTuber makes between $1 for every 100 to roughly 300 views. Somewhere, it seems like it's almost always in that range. On the far end, if they just don't have a good demographic, it seems like automotive YouTubers are making $1 for every 300 views. Whereas on the higher end, if they've got a really good demographic, then they're making $1 for every 100 views. Now, to make things super dumbed down for this video, I kind of took channels and I essentially just took how many views that they're getting per month on average, and then I took that number and I multiplied it by 300, and then I took that number, multiplied it by, or sorry, not multiplied it, divided it by 300, and then I took that number, divided it by 100, and then that number that I got, I obviously added those two up, divided them by 2, took the average, and that's how I got these averages for what these channels make. Just keep in mind that this is just an average, and so it could be off by a bit, and I'm going to show you how it could be, because one of these channels that I'm going to mention has released how much money they earn in a month, and what the calculation that I got for what they earn is significantly less money than what they actually earn. I tried to cover like all spectrums of automotive YouTube. So first is like kind of like automotive news, and that is Life of Paulos. And by the way, the area that I'm getting all of these from, it's this website called, you probably can't see that anyways, it's called Social Blade. It actually gives a really accurate representation of how many views and subscribers someone's getting per month. In terms of the revenue that it estimates, it's not very accurate. Like, you guys can look at my page on Social Blade, and the highest amount that it estimates my revenue to be is significantly less than what my channel earns. And so on the view part, it's accurate. It says last month I got 2.5 million views essentially, but then it said I can't remember what it was, but it said I made significantly less than what I actually made. So anyways, on Life of Paulos, it seems like he's been averaging somewhere roughly around 1.5 to maybe 2 million views a month. I just did it off of 1.5 million views, which if you go on the high end, obviously is going to be 15 million. If you go on the low end, it's going to be 5,000. So I did right between the two. So his channel's probably earning somewhere around $10,000 a month, roughly, just based on, like I said, current ad rates. The next channel is a review channel. It is the Straight Pipes, which they have absolutely amazing videos. For some reason their views are down this month. I'm not sure why that is, because every single video that they release is hilarious, and I mean, they get tons of views on their stuff, but yeah, for some reason this month their views are down. But anyways, this month they've got 6.1 million essentially, but usually it seems like they hover around that kind of 7 to, sometimes they have months where they get 10 million views, which is crazy. And so then obviously if you do the math on if they got really high ad rates, then they'd get $70,000 in a month. Or if they had really bad ad rates, then they'd get, paid significantly less, what, $20,000 a month, which still a lot of money, but I mean, got to split it between two people. You have to remember that. And I don't know if they have anyone else associated with their team, but between those two averages, $46,000 a month is roughly what they're earning off of ad revenue. Now, the next few channels add pretty much all the same amount of views as the Straight Pipes, so you can assume the revenue is probably gonna be about the same. The next one I did was Tavarish, which he does kind of like the really cool rebuilds on YouTube, and I'm sure from like a merchandise standpoint and some other stuff, he's probably earning quite a bit more than just off of a YouTube ad revenue. But yeah, he was in that same range view-wise as the Straight Pipes. Hoovie's Garage was also in that same range in terms of views per month, so they're all pretty close. So they're all probably, per month, they're probably all earning about $40,000 to $50,000 a month in ad revenue. Now, the one that was an interesting case is Street Speed 717, because he has released how much money he earns off of ad revenue. And when I did the calculation on his channel, I got significantly less than what he actually earns. So when I did the calculation off of, in the last few months, he's been about, 4 million views a month, roughly. I only got like $20,000 in ad revenue when I did the average between the two. But he has shown his analytics, and he earns $35,000 a month in ad revenue. So that shows that he's definitely on the much higher end of things. So he probably gets paid about, you know, $1 per every 100, maybe 125 views, he earns $1. So that just shows how this calculation isn't going to be the most accurate. But yeah, he makes a lot off of ad revenue, obviously, for not that many views. Now, the ones that are going to be fun are the last two that I picked for you guys. The Stradman, how much he makes. So in the last few months, he has, or this whole year, he's killed it. And this year on average, he's got about 15 million views a month, which is a huge amount. He had a month where he got almost 30 million views. And if you do an average of 15 million views a month, and obviously with the calculations on the high side of things, he'd be making $150,000 in a month, and on the low side of things, it'd be about 50,000. So he probably on average earns, I would say, somewhere in that $75,000 to $100,000 a month range just in ad revenue. Now, he always has sponsored content in almost every single one of his videos, so he's pulling in some serious cash. Now, the next two channels are the same person, and it's because they have two different channels. It's Doug DeMuro. This is probably what most people consider the pinnacle of automotive YouTube right now. The person that's probably earning the most out of any other automotive channel. I mean, he consistently just gets crazy views on all of his videos. On an average month, he's probably about 25 to 30 to 35 million views, which is just, it's crazy. I can't even like fathom getting that many views on my content. But then he has a second channel too, More Doug DeMuro. So his More Doug DeMuro channel is a little bit more conservative. It's kind of all over the place depending on when he feels like releasing content. But that channel seems to be in the 2.5 million to 3.5 million range on any given month. And so then with the calculations that I did, he's probably making $15,000 to $20,000 a month roughly on his More Doug DeMuro channel. On his main channel though, since he averages probably about 30 million views a month, he is probably making about $200,000 a month in ad revenue. I would say that, you know, because he gets so many views, his ad rates might be lower, but his views are still crazy. He's for sure pulling in over $1 million a year. But I mean, that's just crazy to think that, you know, a guy can, just anyone, right? Doug DeMuro is literally, like, he's awesome. I love his videos, but I mean, he's just a random person that decided to make car reviews. And, you know, he always wears his 2 t-shirts and his microphone. He doesn't have a crazy setup. He has a tripod, a GoPro, a microphone that he attaches to his shirt, and then he just films himself from the tripod. And the dude's making well over $1 million a year. It's just, it's crazy to think about. So hopefully that answered all of your questions in terms of how automotive YouTubers buy new cars all the time, and obviously answered the question of how much your favorite automotive YouTubers make roughly before any type of other sort of business things, which I'm just saying most of those guys do have other business things going, so they're making significantly more than just ad revenue. But I will see all of you in that next video.